get a cup of tea now, because we do have a propensity to say some pretty dull things. So if you are falling asleep, just let me know and I'll get that guy on the camera to nudge you awake. Anyway, but what I'm here today for is basically to sell you a business model. And I'm very grateful to the previous speakers, Ashley in particular, is talking about you need a business model that suits a small grower. And so I'm here to talk really about cooperatives. I have worked as a lawyer for a long time, and the last 17 years or 18 years I've been in the cooperative sector. I love that sector because it's a business model with some ethics. You don't find that very often anymore. For you people, I want to talk about farming, which is essentially a small business. There are very few large business farmers in Australia. The majority of them are small businesses. Of course, when you're on a small farm, it doesn't seem like small business when you're working it. It's more like very busy business. And it's also very often very difficult business. So my first slide is a little proverb, a bushwalking proverb. To go fast, you walk alone, but to go far, you can walk together, and you'll get there. Okay, and it's the important message about collaborating or cooperating, joining together under whatever model you like to think about it. Some people call them associations, some people call them partnerships, some people call them clusters, for God's sake. But they're all, you know, formal or informal methods of cooperating or collaborating. I'm going to tell you this story about cooperating by going the bad news, good news route, okay? Because it is in a small business that you're going into or you're already there. So the bad news is the stuff you usually hear from your accountants, not from your lawyers, but from your accountants, okay? And they'll tell you that there are some very well-known small business facts that over 30% of small businesses will fail in their first 3 months. Another 30% will fail after the first year, okay? Each year we have 14,000 new small companies formed, and each year we see about 10,000 of those go to the wall, okay? How many of those are farming businesses? It's a bit hard to sell. I guess if I was a better researcher, I'd be able to tell you more accurately, but I went to the Australian Bureau of Statistics website, and there they tell you that there are 180,000 businesses registered as either agriculture, forestry, or fishing. And you think, oh, that's a lot of businesses, but the alarming thing about it is the trends in that sector. So in the financial year ending 2016, there were fewer entrants into that industry than any other industry, and more people leaving it or exiting that industry. So over 2,700 farming or agriculture businesses finished up in the year 2016. So it's a scary kind of a thing. The Australian Securities and Investments Commission gives you a bit of an idea about why businesses fail for companies, and I guess it's the same for sole traders and partnerships too, and they cite 2 really important things: poor strategic management and inadequate cash flow or high cash use. And I reckon in farming, inadequate cash flow is a really big problem, as well as that strategic management in an industry where there's high cost equipment, cost of water access, and there's transport costs, particularly in regional areas. Really big issues for small farms. I don't have any more bad news. The good news is I was reading an interview between Elizabeth Knight, you know, the Sydney Morning Herald journalist, business journalist, and this guy called Hamish Douglas. And he founded a global share investment fund called Magellan, pretty successful. And he was talking about how to choose a good long-term investment. Rather remarkably, he said, Uber and Tesla's car division would be broke in 10 years' time. He said this would happen because these are companies that are tech-based, and they're currently very wealthy organisations. So Uber's valued at, I think it's $68 billion US dollars. But the thing about them is that they're built for the short term. They pay huge dividends to their shareholders, and they're also in the start or the middle of a tech boom. So their technology will be finished probably in the next 10 years, and they will go broke. Hamish was asked, well, what do you think will survive? And he said, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Starbucks. And that's because people will always eat and drink. And I reckon that's good news for farmers. But what it tells you is that agriculture will survive, but it needs to look for the long-term sustainability, not a quick profit, and it needs careful planning. So to go fast, walk alone. To go far, walk together. And this is our cooperative sort of thinking. So when you're thinking about, gee, I didn't do very big font on that, sorry. When you're starting up a business, and that's what we're doing here on a small business, you know, you've got a good idea or an invention, but you've got to know that there's going to be people who need it. You need planning, how you're going to make it, or what are you going to make, what are you going to sell, costs and so on, market research, and you need money for startup. It's a lot of stuff to think of as an individual. And look, some people are really successful at it. You're always reading about those fantastically famous small business entrepreneurs who've got clever niche product coming out of their farms. You know, Sydney restaurants want rocket on the plates, but next year they want wild rocket, not rocket. Okay? Not rocket science, I guess. They used to speak that on their menus that they had grain-fed beef, and now it's grass-fed beef. Sauvignon Blanc was the wine, and now it's Pinot Gris. You know, so you've got to be able to move with the market and be able to adapt. You've got to have a really strong business plan. The thing about cooperatives and collaborative type organisations is that you don't do it on your own, you're doing it with other people. So you're going to be spending actually much more time on that idea or that plan. You're going to be planning your market research that much better, okay? And you'll also be able to garner or get more money because there are more of you. And the money at the startup is really important. It'll take longer because it's always harder to get more people to agree to what you want to do and to toss around your business plan or test your idea. But once you get there, I think you'll probably find that it's going to be a more sustainable business model. Well, that's what we hope anyway. So, as I say, I love cooperatives. Sometimes cooperatives, you know, when I talk to people about co-ops, they look at me and they say, oh, you've gone out of fashion, you know, or they're nice little community not-for-profits. You know, Bathurst Whole Food Cooperative is a not-for-profit. But let me tell you, as a not-for-profit, they're also not for loss. Okay? They're out there to actually make ends meet and to work for the purpose for which they were formed. And that's because co-ops are there for the people. They're formed by groups of people who all want the same things. They all have those same needs. Cooperative historians will tell you that in fact cooperatives are the ultimate not-for-profit. Why do they say that? They say that because any money that a cooperative makes from its operations is actually dispersed back to the members who formed it. The cooperative itself doesn't seek to become a multinational global organisation. It is there purely to serve the members. So what does a co-op look like? Formed by groups of people because they've got common needs. They provide a structure. So it's a legal business structure to help people work together in a democratic and equitable way. They've got one member, one vote. So that means that everybody's got the same say in what it is that their co-op's going to do and how it's going to deliver the services to them. How you're going to share the cost of that expensive equipment, how you're going to buy a water allocation, or how you're going to do a marketing plan. All of those things, one person, one vote, okay? It's also got a board of directors that manage that business structure for you with an inbuilt accountability mechanism, just like a company. So board of directors accountable to members. And the members form that board, so they know what the members want. And really good cooperatives work on the basis of strong member participation. That's that one member, one vote. They thrive on knowing what it is that their members want. So when their members tell their cooperative, oh, they don't want any more Sauvignon Blanc, they're sick of Sauvignon Blanc, they want Pinot Gris. Okay, let's work together to get Pinot Gris down into those Sydney restaurants, okay? But it's not just you on your own, sitting there wondering if your crop will fail. Can I afford to buy that tractor implement? How am I going to get the water? What is that bug that's sitting on the leaves of my broccoli? Okay, so you're there together with other people. You can buy the services that you need jointly. Thank you. The other thing that co-ops can do, which is the money question, because it's a legal business structure, they can issue shares, they can issue debentures, they can also issue these hybrid securities called cooperative capital units, but more importantly, they can engage their community. So shares are owned by the members, they're the voting bits, they're the ownership bits of the cooperative, okay? But you can actually borrow money from your members, and you can borrow money from your community. It's what we call community investment. So if you've got a cooperative that forms an important role within your community, you can invite your community to invest in your cooperative, because together the community and the cooperative and the people it serves help to build that local resilience, that local market. You can interest your community in what it is that you're producing for the benefit of your area. Okay. Now, we don't have this sort of information very much in Australia, but I did tell you a lot of very good cooperatives in that country raised over £60 million from their local communities by issuing community shares. Okay. They are in areas of renewable energy, leisure and hospitality, retail shops. They save their local pubs and shops, and food and farming. All the things that communities really believe in and want to keep in their locality and their region. The community puts its money there. Okay. Average share raising was, as you see on the slide, £309,000. You think how powerful that is in starting up a small business that's going to run part of your small business for you to give you a better bottom line in your own farming enterprise. Okay? Now, 2 weeks ago, I've only got a little bit more, thank you. We had a couple of we had the managing director of Yenda Producers Cooperative tell us all about that cooperative down there. And it's a really interesting story, and often people think, oh, cooperatives, they're so hard to form, are they real? So we got this fellow to come along and tell us about his co-op, the Yenda Producers Co-op. Started with 10 farmers in 1925. Today it's got 1,500 farmer members, 50 full-time staff, and an annual turnover in excess of $50 million. That's a big business now. Okay? Serves all of their farmers with irrigation needs, agribusiness advice, the whole lot. And it's there for them, they own it. Their turnover, their profit, goes back to all of their farmers by way of rebates, dividends on their shares, and cheaper services. The Yolla Cooperative in northwest Tasmania, they all start with Y, the letter Y. They sell beef, or they do beef, sheep, and opium poppies. Okay. They're currently celebrating 40 years of success for their 700 farmer members. Okay. And then, of course, there's our lovely Bathurst Whole Food Cooperative. We started in 2011 with about 10 members. We now have over 400 members. They're nearly all consumers, and this is really important for you to understand. So we've got a lot of consumer members. They tell us what they want to buy. They want to buy local, they want to buy organic. We sell them that, okay? And they want to buy it from you guys. So we actually have 140 suppliers on our books. Sorry, Cameron. 90 of them are local. So that is your marketplace. That is a really strong marketplace for you to sell your produce. They work well. It struggled for a while, our co-op, didn't it? Yeah. But we've got good strategic management. Thanks, Michael. Okay. We also raised funds through issuing debentures to our members so we could get new refrigeration for that local market. So think about cooperatives. They are a sustainable business model for sustainable farmers, shall I say. If you want to know a little bit more about co-ops, oh, sorry, I went too fast. There's Anthony down there from the Business Council of Co-ops and Mutuals, and Sam from the Cooperatives Federation of New South Wales. I'd love to tell you heaps about them. And Lorraine Gordon from Farming Together is about to come online. Thank you so much.